broccoli in your refrigerator is lying to you. Go ahead, open the door, look at it. It looks green, doesn't it? It feels firm, it looks like health, but biologically, that thing has been dead for weeks. You are looking at a vegetable that is effectively in suspended animation, a zombie plant kept pretty by a cold chain designed to fool your eyes, not feed your cells. See, the modern grocery store isn't a garden, it's a morgue with better lighting. That head of broccoli was bred for exactly one purpose, and I promise you, that purpose was not to prevent your cancer or boost your immune system. It was bred to survive a 3,000-mile ride in a dark, vibrating, refrigerated truck without turning into mush. To make that journey, to survive that abuse, the industry had to make a trade. They sacrificed the medicine to get the durability. They bred the plant to have thick, woody stalks and tough fibers armor so it could bounce around on a highway for a week and still look fresh when you pick it up. You are eating the packaging. You are eating the cardboard armor, while the actual nutrients degraded the moment they cut the stem 3 weeks ago in California. But what if I told you there is a version of this plant that the system is terrified of? Imagine a vegetable so potent, so biologically dense, that eating just 1 single ounce of it triggers the same chemical response in your body as eating 3 pounds of that fibrous, dead supermarket broccoli. I'm talking about a plant that, ounce for ounce, packs more protein than a steak. It has more calcium than the milk they tell you to drink for strong bones. It has more iron than the spinach Popeye tricked you into eating. This isn't a supplement. It isn't a powder. It is the living, breathing, embryonic stage of the very same plant you've been forcing yourself to eat for years. We call them broccoli microgreens. But here is the catch, and this is the part that should make you angry. You will never, ever find this superfood in a standard supermarket. You can walk down the aisle of Whole Foods, Walmart, or Kroger, and you won't see it. Not because it's rare, not because it's hard to grow, but because it refuses to play by their rules. The grocery store business model relies on death. It relies on things sitting on a shelf for days, waiting for you to buy them. This plant, it refuses. It is so alive, so metabolic, that it demands to be eaten fresh. It breaks their logistics model. It cannot be shipped 3,000 miles. It cannot be stored in a warehouse. It bypasses their trucks, their pesticides, and their profit margins. Because of that, they have spent the last 50 years quietly pretending it doesn't exist, selling you the dead adult version, while the baby plant holds all the power. They're selling you the shadow, while the real thing, the cure, is something you can grow on a paper towel in your closet for pennies. By the end of this video, you won't just learn how to grow this. That's the easy part. You are going to understand why the agricultural supply chain has actively designed a system to keep you eating fiber while starving you of actual nutrition. We are going to expose the gap between what they sell and what keeps you alive. So, I have a question for you. If you are finally tired of paying premium prices for vegetables that are nutritionally empty, if you feel that physical instinct in your gut telling you that the system is feeding you filler instead of fuel, I need you to click subscribe right now. Do it. Join us. Don't let them monetize your ignorance for another day. If you don't, you're just telling the algorithm and the industry that you're happy paying top dollar for dead food. Make the choice. You need to understand something fundamental about the place where you buy your food. We walk into these brightly lit supermarkets with the misters spraying water on the produce, and we think we are looking at the bounty of nature. We aren't. We are looking at a triumph of logistics. I used to think the problem was just the pesticides, or the GMOs, or the soil quality, but then I sat down and actually looked at the supply chain data. I followed the money. And what I found is that the villain isn't the farmer. The farmer is usually just a guy trying to break even. The villain is the truck. Modern agriculture isn't a health industry. It is a logistics industry. The entire system is built around one singular non-negotiable god, the cold chain. This is the network of refrigerated trucks, warehouses, and distribution centers designed to keep a tomato looking like a tomato for 3 weeks after it's been picked. And this is where the conspiracy against your health actually begins. The cold chain hates life. It loves stability, it loves durability, it loves dormancy, but real, potent nutrition, the kind that actually fixes your body, is volatile. It degrades, it explodes with energy, and then it fades. I want you to look up the 2020 Food Safety Modernization Act. It sounds boring, right? It sounds like they're just trying to keep us safe. But when you read the fine print, you realize it's a barrier to entry designed to crush the small, the local, and the living. This law requires strict, documented 24-hour cold chain adherence for produce distribution. Here is the problem. A broccoli microgreen doesn't play by those rules. It is too fragile. If you cut a microgreen and put it in a truck, it wilts in 12 hours. It turns to mush. It cannot survive the system. So, instead of adapting the system to give you better food, they simply wrote a law that mathematically prohibits the distribution of living food on a national scale. They legalized the preservation of dead food and effectively outlawed the distribution of living medicine. And if you think I'm reaching, let me tell you what I found when I dug into the USDA archives. I found a memo from 1973. This was back when the health food movement was just starting to scare the big guys. The topic was sprouting seeds. The recommendation in this memo was chilling in its simplicity. Recommend reclassifying as ornamental. Ornamental. They wanted to classify the most nutrient-dense food on the planet as a decoration. Why? The memo suggested that if it was classified as ornamental, it could be excluded from the food stamp program now SNAP. They actively wanted to ensure that this cheap, grow-at-home superfood stayed out of the hands of the people who needed it most. Why would they do that? Because you can't patent a seed that anyone can buy for pennies. You can't control a crop that grows on a windowsill in Brooklyn just as well as it grows in a field in Iowa. They didn't want a food source they couldn't gatekeep. If you can grow it, they can't sell it. So they buried it. They pushed it to the fringe. They made it hippie food, so you wouldn't take it seriously. And look at the result. Look at the spinach sitting in your fridge right now. The moment that spinach was cut, it started dying. It's bleeding out. Every hour it spends in a truck, on a shelf, or in your crisper drawer, it is respiring. It is burning up its own antioxidants just to try to stay alive. By the time you eat it, it has lost 50% of its vitamin C. It has lost its vitality. It is a ghost of a vegetable. Now compare that to the microgreen. When you grow this at home, you don't harvest it and let it sit for a week. You cut it, and 10 seconds later, it is in your mouth. It is still photosynthesizing. It is still circulating enzymes. It is alive when it hits your tongue. That is a level of nutrition that the grocery store physically cannot sell you. Their business model depends on shelf life. Your health depends on life itself. They are selling you a corpse. I'm telling you how to grow the resurrection, and they are terrified that you're finally figuring out the difference. So, let's talk about the one thing that the agricultural industry sells you that you can never get back. Time. If you want to grow a head of broccoli, the kind you buy wrapped in plastic, you are looking at a commitment. You plant a seed. You water it. You weed it. You wait. You fight off aphids. You wait some more. It takes roughly 100 days, give or take, to get that crown. That is a third of a year. That is a massive investment of solar energy, water, land, and human labor. Now, look at the microgreen. It takes 7 days. That's it. In the time it takes a standard head of lettuce to struggle to push out a single new leaf, this plant has gone from seed to harvest. It has completed its primary mission. It is the Formula One car of the plant world. It doesn't jog, it sprints. And that speed isn't just about convenience for you. It is a clue to the biological power hidden inside. Because here is what the system doesn't explain to you. A seed is a survival capsule. Nature packs that tiny little shell with enough concentrated energy, vitamins, and enzymatic power to explode out of the soil and establish a root system before it can even photosynthesize. It is a battery pack charged to 100%. When you eat the mature broccoli plant, the 100-day-old plant, that battery has been drained. The energy has been spread out over 2 feet of stalk and leaves. The nutrition is diluted by water and fiber. But when you eat the microgreen at day 7, you are eating the battery while it is still fully charged. And this leads us to the most mind-bending part of this entire story. This is the chemical reaction that proves you aren't just a consumer, you are a chemist. I need you to understand that the medicine in broccoli, the compound everyone talks about, sulforaphane, doesn't actually exist in the plant. If you took a microscope to a broccoli leaf, you wouldn't find it. It's not there. The plant holds 2 separate ingredients, kept in separate compartments within its cells. In one corner, you have an enzyme called myrosinase. In the other, a compound called glucoraphanin. As long as the plant is intact, these 2 never touch. They are inert. But when you take a bite, that is when the magic happens. When you crush these leaves between your teeth, you break those cell walls. You force those 2 chemicals to mix instantly. You are literally performing a chemistry experiment in your mouth. The myrosinase reacts with the glucoraphanin, and boom, they create sulforaphane. This is a chemical reaction that happens live as you chew. You aren't taking a pill where the medicine was made in a factory 3 years ago. You are creating the medicine in real time. You are the catalyst. No pill can do that. No frozen vegetable can do that. Only living food can do that. And because you are eating the baby plant, the concentration of these precursor chemicals is off the charts. We aren't talking about double the nutrition. We aren't talking about triple. We are talking about up to 40 times the nutrient density of the adult plant. Let that sink in. 40 times. That is the density argument that terrified the researchers when they first discovered it at Johns Hopkins. It means that 1 ounce of these sprouts gives you the sulforaphane equivalent of eating 3 pounds of full-grown broccoli. 3 pounds. Have you ever tried to sit down and eat 3 pounds of fibrous, tough broccoli? You can't do it. Your jaw would get tired. Your digestion would shut down. But you can sprinkle an ounce of sprouts on a taco and not even notice it's there. This isn't just food anymore. This is biological data. It is a compression algorithm for nutrition. You are hacking the system by getting maximum output for minimum input. The industry relies on you paying for water, fiber, and the 100 days of rent it took to grow that stalk. Microgreens strip all of that away and leave you with pure, raw code. Which brings me to a question I need you to ask yourself right now. Think about the last meal you ate. Really visualize it. Was it alive, or was it just biomass? Was it fuel, or was it just filler? If you want to stop eating dead matter and start fueling your body with actual living energy, I want you to hit that like button right now. Do it. Tell the algorithm you prefer truth over convenience. Tell the system you are done paying for the illusion of health. If you don't, honestly, you're just telling the system you're happy with the cardboard they sell you. You're telling them that you are okay with being fed dead food because it's easier. Don't be that person. Hit the button. Let's keep going. The biggest lie they tell you, the one that keeps you tethered to the grocery store checkout line, is that independence requires acres. They want you to think farming requires a mortgage, a tractor, and a back-breaking amount of land. They want you to look at your apartment, your townhouse, or your small kitchen and feel powerless. But here is the reality. Farming doesn't require land. It requires light. If you have a windowsill, you have a farm. If you have a counter that catches the morning sun, you have exited the industrial food system. You have taken the means of production and put it right next to your coffee maker. Now, I'm going to give you the protocol. We call this the grow lazy method, and I'm going to be honest with you, it feels like cheating. It feels like you found a glitch in the simulation because the effort you put in does not match the reward you get out. The first barrier we are going to break is the mess. When you think of gardening, you think of dirt under your fingernails, bags of potting soil spilling on your carpet, and bugs. Forget all of that. We aren't doing that. Step 1 is the medium. You don't need soil. These plants are so full of energy they don't need to pull nutrients from the earth yet. They just need something to hold on to. You can use a hemp mat if you want to be fancy, but you can literally start with a paper towel. A damp paper towel. That is the level of complexity we are talking about. Step 2 is the seed. In a traditional garden, you plant one seed, give it 6 inches of space, and pray. Here, we do the opposite. We are going for high-density sowing. You are going to take a handful of seeds and carpet the tray. You want them shoulder to shoulder. You want an army. Step 3 is the most critical part, and it's the part beginners mess up because it feels wrong. It's the blackout. You are going to water them, cover them, and put them in total darkness for 3 days. You might put a weighted tray on top of them. You are simulating being deep underground. You are tricking the seeds into thinking they are buried under heavy soil. This triggers a survival response. They struggle. They push. They stretch. They fight to find the light. And that struggle is what makes them strong. And then, step 4, the explosion. On day 4, you take the cover off and expose them to the light. And this is where the magic happens. It's not slow. It's violent. If you set up a camera, you would see that it doesn't just grow, it erupts. The plants realize they've broken the surface, and they push the weight off their shoulders. They turn from a pale yellow to a deep, vibrant emerald green in a matter of hours, not days. It is photosynthesis happening so fast you can almost hear it. It is life forcing its way into existence. And when you harvest that, when you take scissors to that tray on day 7 or 10, you aren't just getting nutrition, you are getting the flavor shock. This is the final myth we need to bust. We have been conditioned to believe that healthy food tastes like punishment. We expect it to be bland, grassy, and boring. Microgreens didn't get that memo. Because they are concentrated nutrition, they are also concentrated flavor. You expect a radish microgreen to taste like a leaf. It doesn't. It tastes like pure wasabi fire. It clears your sinuses. You bite into an arugula microgreen, and it tastes like black pepper and nuttiness. A sunflower shoot tastes like you're eating roasted nuts. These aren't garnishes. They aren't the sad sprig of parsley they put on your plate at a diner. They are flavor bombs. They add texture, crunch, and heat to your food. You aren't just adding vitamins. You are making your food taste like it came from a high-end restaurant. And you're doing it with something you grew on a paper towel while you were sleeping. That is the power of the windowsill. It turns your kitchen into a production facility. And once you taste that first harvest, that first explosion of flavor that you created from nothing, you will never look at the grocery store produce aisle the same way again. You'll look at it and see exactly what it is, a pale imitation of the real thing. We have talked about the biology, we have talked about the flavor, but now we need to talk about the thing that usually gets people to pay attention. We need to talk about the economics of your kitchen counter. I want you to change the way you look at that tray of greens. Don't look at it as a salad, look at it as currency. If you walk into a high-end restaurant tonight, the kind of place with white tablecloths and a 3-month waiting list, and you order the sea bass or the steak tartare, it will come out topped with these delicate, vibrant greens. The chef will tell you they are micro-herbs. They are selling you an experience. Do you know what that chef pays for those greens? The current market rate for high-quality microgreens is roughly $50 a pound. $50. That is more than the price of a prime ribeye. It is significantly more than copper. Now, let's look at your cost. You can buy a bag of broccoli seeds for $15 that will last you 6 months. You can buy a hemp mat for $1 or use a nickel's worth of paper towels. Your water cost is negligible. When you do the math, you are growing that $50 product for pennies. You are taking sunlight, tap water, and a 50-cent handful of seeds, and you are transmuting them into a luxury commodity. This isn't just gardening. This is arbitrage. It is printing money in the form of nutrition. Every time you harvest a tray, you are effectively printing a $20 bill that you don't have to spend at the grocery store. You are keeping that value in your house, in your pocket, and in your body. And that is exactly what makes this dangerous to the status quo. Because the system doesn't mind if you garden as a hobby. They love it when you spend hundreds of dollars on raised beds and fertilizers at Home Depot to grow 3 sad tomatoes. That stimulates the economy. That makes you a consumer. But growing microgreens, that makes you a producer. And history shows us that the system does not like independent producers. This is personal for me. I need to tell you a story that I don't share often. My grandfather grew similar sprouts back in the early 1950s. He wasn't a radical, he was just a guy who lived through the Depression and knew the value of food. He grew massive jars of sprouts in his garage and sold the surplus to his neighbors for a few cents. It helped pay the bills. One afternoon, there was a knock on the garage door. It wasn't a neighbor, it was an inspector. They didn't just shut him down, they fined him $500. Now, $500 in 1952 is equivalent to nearly $5,000 today. They fined a working-class man $5,000 for growing vegetables in his own home. Think about that. Did they fine him because the food was unsafe? No. No one ever got sick. Did they fine him because he was hurting someone? No. They fined him because he was selling unregulated produce. They fined him because he was independent. They fined him because he had found a way to feed his community without paying a toll to the supply chain. That fine broke him financially for a year. It was a message: do not try to exit the system. You might think, well, that was the 50 seconds. Things are different now. Are they? While I was writing the script for this video, I was doing some patent research. I stumbled across a filing that made my blood run cold. It was a patent application for hydroponic microgreen distribution systems. Do you know who filed it? Walmart. They know. They have the data. They see the trends. They know that people are waking up to the fact that their food is dead. They know that the nutrient density of microgreens is the future of health. They know the shift is coming. The war is over. We are just mopping up. But here is their plan. They don't want you to grow it. They want to industrialize it. They want to take this beautiful, fragile, living food, figure out how to package it in plastic clamshells, and sell it back to you for $10 an ounce. They want to take the thing you can grow for pennies and gentrify it. This is why you need to start now. You need to establish your independence before they figure out how to monopolize the seeds. You need to realize that every tray you grow is a small act of rebellion. You are opting out of their inflation. You are opting out of their supply chain failures. You are looking at a system that wants to sell you back your own health at a premium, and you are saying, no thanks, I'll make it myself. That is true wealth. It's not just about the money you save, it's about the control you take back. We started this journey 30 minutes ago looking at a head of broccoli, just a simple green vegetable wrapped in plastic. But by now, I hope you realize that we weren't really talking about vegetables at all. We were talking about freedom. We have peeled back the layers of a system that was designed to keep you fed but not nourished. We looked at the cold chain, that invisible freezing logistics network that prioritizes shelf life over your life. We exposed the biological reality that the fresh produce you buy is actually in a state of decay, bleeding out its nutrients while it sits on a truck. We looked at the science, the undeniable hard chemistry of how a 7-day-old seedling holds 40 times the power of the adult plant. We proved that you don't need a degree in biology to hack your own health. You just need to understand that nature works best when it is fast, young, and alive. We broke down the myth that you need land. We proved that the most productive farmland in America isn't in California. It's on your windowsill. It's on top of your microwave. It is anywhere you decide to plant a flag and say, I am a producer. And finally, we looked at the money. We looked at the sheer economic absurdity of paying a premium for dead food when you can print living currency on a damp paper towel for pennies. You have seen the memo. You know about the patents. You know that the industry is gearing up to sell this back to you at a markup that would make a pharmaceutical company blush. So, here is my final argument to you. It is simple. Stop paying for their dead, shipped, sprayed vegetables. Stop participating in a transaction where you trade your hard-earned money for their logistical failures. Reclaim your countertop. Reclaim your health. Grow the medicine they can't sell you. Because once you eat that first harvest, once you feel that flavor shock and that rush of actual energy, you can't untaste it. You can't go back to the lie. You have exited the matrix of the grocery store. And you have realized that the most rebellious thing you can do in a consumer culture is to produce your own survival. But this isn't a one-way street. I am not the guru here. I am just the guy who read the documents. I know who is watching this channel. I know there are growers out there, veterans of the soil, basement scientists, countertop rebels who have figured out things that I haven't even touched on today. That's my secret. The cold chain is broken, and the windowsill is the fix. Now, tell me. I know there are growers watching this who have found crops even faster than broccoli. Maybe you found something denser. Maybe you found a way to grow without even the paper towel. What is the one trick you swear by that I didn't mention? What is the forbidden crop that you grow? Leave it in the comments. Don't just watch, contribute. Let's build the database they tried to delete. Let's create a comment section that is more valuable than a library. Now, look at me. We are at the end. The video is over. You have the information now. You are standing at a fork in the road. You can close this tab. You can go back to your day. You can go back to the supermarket, push your cart down the aisle, buy that bag of dead spinach, and pretend you don't know what you know. You can stay asleep. It's comfortable there. Or you can subscribe. You can join us. You can decide right now that you are going to build a life of abundance that no supply chain crisis can touch. You can choose to be the person who feeds themselves, not the person who begs to be fed. The choice is yours. But do not come back to this channel in a year, when the prices of fresh food have doubled again, when the shelves are empty, or when they are charging $15 for a box of premium microgreens, and say I didn't warn you. I have given you the blueprint. The rest is up to you. Welcome to the resistance. I'll see you in the garden.